to the Savage Sports Show. So today, or this is just a little show I like to do. I know not many people are going to see this, but little show where I talk about my sports opinions and just get them out there. See if anyone sees it. So today, recently, let's just get right into it. Recently, what just happened? Russell Westbrook, was traded to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul and many different assets. Now, looking at this trade for both sides, of course, reported by Adrian Wojnarowski, there's many different ways to view this trade. Westbrook goes back and teams up with James Harden. Chris Paul goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and now the OKC Thunder basically have nothing. In the deal, to be exact, the Houston Rockets, they got Russell Westbrook, of course, and the Oklahoma City Thunder got 2 first-round picks and pick swaps for 2021 and 2025. Now, let's look at OKC's view. OKC, you get Russell Westbrook away who wanted to be traded. So you get more picks like you did in the trade with Paul George. You get even more picks, but you have picks and picks and picks. So now you have picks and you have Chris Paul. So it's just Chris Paul and picks. So I'm wondering, are they going to go out, or is Chris Paul just going to play out this year with him and just nobody else on the team? It's just interesting what happens. And then Westbrook, from the Rocket side of view, Westbrook going back with Harden. Westbrook and Harden, if they can work together, that could be pretty good, but they're both 2 ball-dominant point guards. They have such high usage rates, each of them. Both of them just always want the ball. So one of them is going to have to adapt to the other. And I'm worried that one of them's not going to adapt, and if they don't adapt, then that's not going to be good. Chris Paul felt that he didn't get the ball enough. Now look how Westbrook's going to feel. But I have to see how this trade really works. I think I have to see how they play together. Because if they play together, if they're very good, then it could be an amazing trade. And the Rockets could be contenders. But if it's not, then they could just be a dumpster fire. Alright, so now we're going to move on to baseball. So, here are my mid-season All-Star break predictions. It is currently 2:35 on July 12th. So, we are halfway through the baseball season already. And here, as you can see, are the standings. So, even though, disclaimer, this is a bias, I'm a Braves fan. Anyways, so my predictions, let's start with the American League. So I'm saying that the Yankees, I think, are going to get the 1 seed. The Yankees, I think they're also going to go out and make a move at the deadline for a starting pitcher. Like if it's a Mad Bum or whoever it is, I think they're going to make the playoffs. And I think Minnesota also, and Houston. So I think Houston, Minnesota, Yankees are going to be the division winners. And then in the wild card for the AL, as we get to the wild card standings, I have. So, I think Tampa. No, I'm sorry. I think Tampa is actually going to drop out. And I think that Cleveland will stay. But this is kind of a weird opinion. I think that the Texas Rangers are going to sneak up and get that second wildcard spot. That's just my opinion. I think that Texas and Tampa are going to be in the wildcard together. That is my American League. Now if we move on to the National League. Now in the National League, I think the Braves are winning the NL East. I think the NL Central, which is crazy. The worst team in the NL Central is only backed by 4.5 games. That's just crazy to me. I gotta say, Milwaukee wins the Central over the Cubs in St. Louis and Pittsburgh. And then the West, the Dodgers. And if we move on to the wild card, I think that the Cubs are going to be in the wild card, and I also think that somehow Philly sneaks into the wild card. So I think it's going to be Philly versus Chicago in the wild card, and Tampa versus Texas. I'm sorry, Cleveland versus Texas in the other wild card. And those are my predictions. And now, if we just Go through the matchups. We'll go back to the American League. We have, let's start with the wild card. It is Texas versus Cleveland. Now, Texas versus Cleveland. I'm going to say Cleveland pulls ahead. They're doing pretty well right now. I'm going to say Cleveland gets that dub. And then they go on to face the Yankees. And then we also have Minnesota versus Houston. Houston, it has an amazing good team. They got Verlander, they got Cole, they got Springer, they got Bregman. They have so many hitters, they have so many pitchers. They have a pretty nice bullpen. Ryan Presley's doing good this year. It's just, I think Houston beats Minnesota. And then you got Yankees and Cleveland. Yankees are just so good. Yankees, Astros in the NLDS. And then in the other side, on the National League, we got the wild card. We have, of course, Philly versus Chicago. Chicago, I think the Chicago Cubs are going to pull out, win that wild card game. And then we got Chicago versus LA and Atlanta versus Milwaukee. Now, I say that Atlanta-Milwaukee, I think Atlanta is going to win that series. And then we got Dodgers-Cubs. I think Dodgers are going to win that series. So then you got Atlanta, Dodgers, Yankees, Astros. Atlanta versus Dodgers, even though I love my Braves, I'm going to go Dodgers win that, get to the World Series again. Then you got Astros, Yankees. Astros, Yankees, who do I say wins that? I'm going to go, I think all-around team rematch, Dodgers, Astros again in the final. And then Dodgers, Astros, Dodgers win it. Dodgers win the World Series. That's my prediction. Next, it's time to go over our mid-season awards for the MLB. So, let's start off with Rookie of the Year. And for the NL, for Rookie of the Year, shocking to nobody, I'm going with Pete Alonso. Now, Pete Alonso, he is just the big part. He is really just taking control of that Mets team. Him and McNeil are just the two things that are just going good for the Mets right now. Alonso is batting .280 with 30 homers and 68 RBIs. He might hit 50 homers. Alonso is just raking. He plays for first base, of course. He's doing very well. I've watched a lot. He has a wonderful swing, and he just won the home run derby. And he was also in the All-Star game. He's just first year All-Star. And he deserves it. He deserves to be the Rookie of the Year. Now, moving on to the AL Rookie of the Year. The AL, to me, it doesn't have as many talented rookies, but you still can't take anything away from Brandon Lowe. Brandon Lowe, he is batting .276, 16 homers, and 49 RBIs. He's having a solid season for a rookie. Second baseman, of course, only age 25. Having a very solid season for the Rays, who are in the playoffs right now. And those are my Rookie of the Years. And moving on to the Cy Young Award. For the NL, you gotta go with Hyun-Jin Ryu. Hyun-Jin Ryu is having an amazing season. He's 10-2. ERA under 2, 1.73 ERA. WHIP is .91. He is having a great season for the first place Dodgers. He is just doing amazing, and he's on my fantasy team. He's just doing amazing, 10-2. He is just having a great season. Of course, great help behind that offense in the Dodgers, and just Hyun-Jin Ryu, great season. And moving on to the AL, you got to go with, for a second consecutive year, the Tampa Bay gets the Cy Young Award. But it's not from Blake Snell. This time, it's from Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton, 10-2, 2.92 ERA, 1.03 WHIP. He is having an amazing season with the Rays. He's keeping them in that playoff race, keeping them at that number one wildcard spot with a solid 10 wins, which is tied for second best in the league. Now, moving on to the MVP for the NL. How could you not talk about the season Cody Belanger is having? Cody Belanger, from the beginning all the way until now, is just raking. He is batting .336, 30 homers, and 71 RBIs. He is having just a crazy season. It's halfway he has 30 RBIs. Halfway he has 71 home runs. He's batting .336, second best in the MLB. He's having an amazing season for the Dodgers. He can play all over. He can play right field, he can play center, he can play left, he can play first. Wherever you want. Dave Roberts can put him wherever he wants because Cody Bellinger is just having that good of a season. And moving on to the AL, the best player in the majors, Mike Trout. Mike Trout is batting .301 with 28 homers and 67 RBIs, 1.098 OPS. Just great season for Trout this year. Just to add on to the great seasons he's had, he's gonna add on to the MVP stack, but still can't get anywhere in the playoffs. But Trout, man, best player in the game. On to manager of the year, you gotta talk about the Twins. Rocco Baldelli. Rocco Baldelli, the manager for the Twins. They completely turned their season around. They have as many home runs this year, right now, as they did last year. They are just doing amazing over there in Minnesota. They're 56-33. They have the second best record, in the AL. Rocco has just found what that team needs, and they just need to keep pushing and get into those playoffs. And now, moving on to the NL. This one is a little tougher. So I just went with Dave Roberts. He's the manager on the best team in the MLB. So obviously he's doing something right. That will do it for the first episode of the Savage Sports Show. Thank you so much for watching, if you're watching, and I just appreciate you a lot because I actually really enjoy doing this. Peace.